This teaching comes to you today with a bit of heaviness, a bit of grief. Things are moving and changing in this world right now. People are dying. Systems are faltering. People's faith and belief and trust in each other, in themselves, in anything is really shaky at the moment. And while the esoteric part of me knows that that's okay, it's part of the whole trajectory, the whole process of things, there also is a very real and very genuine and true component of honoring the grief that comes with these experiences. This is a teaching and a little bit of conversation about Candlemas or Imbolc. February 2nd. It is a fixed date. This Sabbath is a fixed date, as opposed to the solstices and the equinoxes where there is some range and some variation. February 2nd, from a women's spirituality, Wiccan, pagan perspective, is the period of time where the energies are tender. They are new. In women's spirituality, goddess culture, the goddess is born at Yule, which is basically the winter solstice. So you had your teaching for winter solstice. And here we are, February 2nd, with this next Sabbath and this next teaching. And the energy, as I said, is very tender. It's very new. The baby, the archetype of the energy that is celebrated here at February 2nd is like a baby on the mother's breast. It is the point where it is the darkest, the deepest, the coldest of winter time. And it's actually when things start to warm up. Now we celebrate spring at the equinox, the spring equinox. But this is the period of time where the temperatures are starting to rise, where some warmth is coming back in. And what is warmth? Well, warmth is possibility. As mothers, we often don't know what is coming for our children. We have hopes, we have dreams, we have visions, but we don't know the trajectory and the path of our child, this sweet, innocent little thing that is either suckling at our breast or in our arms, fed by a bottle, held, cradled. We don't know what's to come for them. We don't know what their path or their journey is going to consist of. But we hope for the best. We do have those visions and those dreams. We wish for the most for them. And it's interesting because as a mother carrying a child in your womb, you begin your relationship with them from that point. Your energy, your energetics, your frequency, your headspace, your mentality, your aura is all imbued into your child. Now, of course, they have their own little spirit and their own little essence, but the two of you are in relationship from the jump. And so even after that child has come out of your body, that is a continuation of the relationship that you began. And as mothers, we play the long game here. We play the long game by way of knowing that most of the seeds that we plant, we may never see come to fruition, or it will be years later, decades later, before we hear anything back about that, or reap any benefits, so to speak, or can put some form, some tangible form on that lesson that we taught, on that hope that we had, on that dream that we envisioned for our child. And if you consider that concept, it takes faith, it takes devotion, it takes conscious choice to continuing to pour into something, knowing full well that we're not going to see the benefits of it till well down the road, knowing full well that we may never see the benefits of it. It may not come to fruition. We may pour into something. We may pour into our child. We may pour into our relationship. We may pour into our business venture. We may pour into hope for a new humanity, only to never see it, at least in this lifetime. But if you knew that the work that you are doing in this moment would affect your children's future, their children's, even if you don't have children, the new generations of our world, would you still do it? Would you still choose consciousness? Would you still choose to believe in the possibility of something better? Even though everything around you is crumbling and coming apart at the seams. Even though everything up until this moment has hurt you, harmed you, denied you, neglected you, abandoned you. Even though all of your childhood stories are now coming to the forefront, have always been at the forefront and been leading you every step of the way. Do you know that you have the opportunity at this Sabbath, this February 2nd, sacred space and time, to nourish and hope for something new? That is the energy of this ceremony. That is the energy of this teaching. That is the wisdom of this teaching. We just came off the heels of a full moon in Cancer. And the energy behind that full moon was rewriting childhood narratives. And it's so important to be attentive to our childhood narratives because those are the things that really lead the way all the time. You know, we may not always be conscious of it, but how we are perceiving everything in our world, how we feel about things, the thought processes that we have, really all hit back on these threads from our childhood, these belief systems from our childhood. And what are we given in our childhood? What have we been demonstrated from our parents, from our caregivers, from our community? Whatever it was that we grew up in is what shapes our perspective of our current reality. Now, as adults, we of course always have the choice to do something different, to make a new start. You know, we are constantly given opportunities, to view something differently. And that pairs really beautifully, really nicely with the teaching of Imbolc, of Candlemas, because when something is new, we have to be tender with it. We have to understand its fragility and the need for constant attention. When a baby is brand new, they need constant attention. When a thought system is brand new, it needs constant attention. When a relationship is brand new, it needs constant attention. When a death has occurred, and so you're trying to live a new life without the physical presence of somebody, without the physical presence of a structure or a job or whatever that death was a death of, we need constant attention to this new skin that we're living in, this new spatial awareness that we have, because the person, place, or thing that used to be in our ecosystem has now shifted and changed. So now the ecosystem is different. It requires constant attention to wear this new skin, which is kind of a sweet little metaphor for the new skin on a baby. And the new skin, you know, the new spiritual skin, the new emotional skin, the new energetic skin when there has been a shift. Giving something your constant attention is not a sign of neediness necessarily or dependency necessarily. In a lot of ways, it's a sign of reverence. It's an understanding that what you have here is the possibility. It is a new hope. And that you love this thing so much, you cherish and honor this thing so much, that you are willing to be nuanced and subtly attentive to learn what it needs in order to thrive. Constant attention is not intended to be one that, or an experience that takes away from you. When something is brand new, we need to learn its ways. We need to learn this new skin. We need to learn this new movement. We need to learn this new partnership. We need to learn this new trade. We need to learn this new behavior, thought pattern. And so it requires us to be devoted to the nurturing of this thing. And that's why I say to you, as a mother, we're playing the long game here. And it's also why I say to you, in the Essential Feminine program, if you've gone through that with me, if you're familiar with that in any way, that's why I say to you, the teachings of Essential Feminine and this component of motherhood has really very little to do with human children. The notion of motherhood is, how do we nurture something? How do we nurture something? How do we hold space for something? How do we listen to something? How do we receive something? How willing and able are we to take the risk of committing, dedicating, devoting, and seeing the bigger picture without knowing for sure if it will come true? It takes courage to embody a space of motherhood. It takes courage to want something or see something or believe in the possibility of something that you haven't seen before, and do the work to sustain it, even though the path has never been laid before. And that happens all the time for all of us, right? You know, we're trying to build a new world for sure at this time. We're trying to build new systems in a lot of ways. And in that capacity, it's kind of new for all of us. However, each time you start a new day, even, it's uncharted territory. You've never lived this day before. You've never lived this moment before. You've never interacted with these people in these ways before. You know, when you start a new job, when you move to a new home, when you start a new relationship, when you try and practice a new skill. I mean, it's always fresh and new. It's always uncharted territory. And so Candlemas, this Sabbath, this ceremonial space and time is honoring of that part of our developmental process. And it reminds us to be attentive. It reminds us to go slow, to be aware, and to be willing to pour into something, knowing that it's going to take a minute, you know, to lay the groundwork and to get to a place that is really fulfilling and nourishing, you know. It's going to take a minute to get to a place where you don't have to hold your baby all the time and your baby can like run around and be a little bit more self-sufficient, right? It's going to take a minute for you to feel like you can trust the movements of that child. And it's going to take a minute to feel as if you can trust yourself to relinquish that child and allow them to evolve naturally, holding true no matter what to that vision and that goodness and that belief that you saw in them from the beginning, even if it gets a little messy along the way. That is the strength and the courage and the wisdom of motherhood, is being willing to take the risk, to play the long game, to allow yourself to be stretched out of the old and born into the new. Because nothing is ever happening to us. It's always happening for us. In this universe, in this cosmic land of energetics, law of attraction, magnetism, we are pulling everything towards us. So everything that happens to you is happening for you, because of you. You know, subconsciously you asked for it. You asked for it because your inner being knew that if this showed up, if this occurred, it affords you the maximum opportunity for growth. The question is, how are you going to hold yourself through the process? And if we're constantly growing, if we're constantly being led to this next threshold, we're constantly being made new. We're constantly being born into this new skin. We are a constant child. We are a constant baby, and therefore we need constant attention. Which means, as I said, distinct, dedicated, reverent attentiveness to whatever's showing up, to whatever's coming forward. It's a constant refinement process, and when we actively engage in that process, we are better able and equipped to make the conscious choice to continue to believe in what we feel and felt at the beginning, in here, in here, in here, you know? Candlemas teaches us to believe in ourselves and to believe in others, to choose to see the good, to believe that that will ultimately override any system, that the love will always find its way, that it will always rise to the surface. It's just that sometimes you have to pull out a bunch of junk, first, before we can bask like in the beauty and in the glory of it. But that's okay. That's what I mean when I say play the long game. Keep the vision here. The altar of our mind, fed by the vision of our heart. I actually keep hearing Nipsey Hussle in the back of my mind. Hard work and dedication. Hard work and dedication. Just know that hard work and dedication doesn't have to be hard. Hard in presence, hard in demonstration. Hard work and dedication really is about discipline. It's about inner discipline of self. It takes a lot to hold on to a vision and not get lost, not get pulled astray, you know what I mean? Because it's going to happen. You're going to get pulled off course. And so course correction will always be necessary. Course correction is always available. You can start your day over at any time. You can start your life over. You can start your beliefs over at any time. You can start your world or your country over at any time. Just know that as you are riding the ship, sometimes it's a little gnarly, like gears have to grind and things have to shift and change, and it's uncomfortable. But growth is messy, but it is fed by the vision of the heart. So, happy Candlemas. Blessings to your new growth. And know that in solidarity, I am also holding space with you, believing in the possibility of more. Believing in something I've never experienced before, but hope for, believe in, and know that I have seen it before. I've felt it, I've seen it. My work is to hold it. Stay true to it, stay loyal, stay devoted, stay convicted, disciplined, and claim it. Claim that vision and feed it. I love you very, very much.